A revision question on ownership types. The scenario: DD Organic Shop is located on a large housing estate within the town of Ashtown. The shop offers a wide range of food and drink and is owned by Mr. Daniel Porter and his wife Diane. A new supermarket is soon to open on the outskirts of the housing estate, and the cost of parking in a nearby car park is to increase, both of which are of concern to the owners. Your job is to make sure that all answers for the question are relevant to DD Organic Shop to the Daniel and Diane scenario. A 2 and a 4 mark question. First part, describe the likely form of ownership for DD Organic Shop. And part 2, explain 2 advantages of this form of ownership you have described. That's 4 points. So let's look at the first part to this question. This says describe, so that's our exam command word, and that's 2 points. So we've got our structure that the exam is looking for, and it says 1 mark for identifying a form of ownership, and then the second mark for adding a clear description. Now this one is key to answer, the describing the likely form of ownership, because the scenario tells you there's 2 people, there's Daniel and Diane. So the first type of ownership that could be considered would be partnership. That would give you your 1 mark for identify. Now to get to your description, then we've got to look at why you say partnership is a relevant ownership type. Well, first of all, then you've got 2 people and you're allowed between 2 and 20. You can talk about the fact that they want to share the profits. And with 2 people, then we're looking at sharing the management of the partnership for the store. Obviously there's more reasons for that at the moment, but that's how we would go from identify, naming partnership, and then expanding to add a description of why you think that's a relevant ownership type for the scenario. Now, the other form of ownership that is suitable for the scenario would be a private limited company, and that is because you can have between 2 and up to 50 members of a private limited company. Well, now because we've mentioned the number of partners in the partnership answer, then I'm not going to use different suggestions for the development on the private limited companies, because we may need to make sure that we've got different reasons. So one of the first ones we're looking at is the fact that the shop is in competition with a new supermarket that's arriving, so we can clearly say this is a small independent retailer, so they are on their own, so that would be a good reason to be a private limited company. And similar to the other 2 extended reasons on partnership, we're now looking at some of the theory of what a limited company is. Now, a private limited company doesn't sell the shares on the stock exchange, so that is going to be quite particular to them, and it also has limited liability, which in the outset a partnership doesn't have, so we've got that as a clear difference. So the rest is up to you. You've got enough information now to go through identify and describe, and it's up to you which 2 of the ownership types you think is the right one for that scenario. So now let's look at the second part of the question, the 4 points. The command word for in the exam language is explain, and you need to explain 2 advantages. As always with this exam board, it gives you a structure in order to follow for each question, and this one is saying that there is 1 mark for stating the advantage and then an additional mark for the development, and you need to do that twice, hence 2 advantages. So we've got 2 types of ownership that we can choose. So let's first deal with partnerships. So here are some of the advantages of having a partnership. Now remember, you need to look at 2 advantages and you need to be able to explain. So we need to make sure that these are 2 points that you understand and that you can show very contrasting ones. I wouldn't recommend picking the partner bringing money and resources and partner bringing skills and ideas. I'd recommend using one of those and showing a difference with something the other advantage can bring to a partnership. Things like spreading the risk across all the partners. It's not just down to one person, or the fact that where you've got more than one business owner, it cuts across as more credibility, more reassurance for customers when they go and use that business, or even suppliers for that business. The second ownership type you might have decided to use would be the private limited company. The statement private limited company would get you your first of the 4 marks. What you now need to do is put the development in and of the advantages. So what we're looking at is private limited company. One of the key advantages, it's in the name, is limited liability. And unlike a partnership, with a private limited company, the business does carry on if a member dies. Here we've got a comparison with a PLC, because we're looking at the fact that decisions are quicker in a private limited than a public limited company. And back to the limited liability, financial institutions like banks very much like that in terms of lending money to a business should that business want to expand. So that's it for our 6-mark question. We've gone to the first part, which is describing the ownership for 2 points. So remember, it's described, so it's a statement and then development. And then the second part, explain 2 advantages of the ownership type you're recommending. That's 4 points. So for each advantage, for each simple statement, you need a development. So we follow the same format where we're looking at the green Lego, where we're making a basic simple statement, moving on and developing to the purple statement. We're adding some development, and then obviously we're putting the 2 together. We're reaching our silver success because we've put our responses together.